I've greatly enjoyed passing along to you a lot of my newly acquired Michael Jackson multitrack sessions. Listening to these with you, picking apart the nuances of the band performances and Michael's amazing voice and how it's evolved over time. I hope I get to do a ton more of these. Many of you have asked in the comments, and I've been replying, where do I get these? How can I get these too? Here's the truth. I used to work at a prominent recording studio several years back, and one of my buddies there started sending me these sessions in Pro Tools. Then when I started putting out these videos on YouTube, other people in the industry started reaching out saying, hey, I love what you're doing, these Michael Jackson videos. Here's another session. Here's another session. So I started doing these, and then Michael Jackson's estate, Sony, started taking down the videos and issued me a copyright strike. It was not pretty. I had to jump through several legal hoops, even in addition to the normal YouTube stuff that we all have to do to get permission to use other people's songs, including writing a letter to someone stating that I would not distribute, provide access, or point to any of these sessions, only to use them as educational and inspirational study materials here on YouTube, qualifying stringently to YouTube's fair use policies. So thanks for enjoying these along with me. Another question I get a ton is, well, can you do one off of this album or this album? Or what about this era? I can only do genuine multi-track analysis of the songs that I've been given genuine multi-tracks for. Availability is spotty. I'm not quite sure what determines that. I know several years ago, a lot of these sessions came from offshoots of files that were leaked with the Cirque du Soleil performances. That said, I do have original studio quality vocal stems for Remember the Time. I only have the vocals. I don't have the instrumental. So I'm making stems for the instrumental so we can enjoy the whole song in this way. Get into this with me, and later on in the video, I'll show you how I made the stems from the stereo mix of this song. This was a good one to do this on because this doesn't have the, ace players and all the, orchestras and all that stuff that some of the earlier era. Very simple. And honestly, what gives this song its charm and its vibe, especially nowadays in today's context, is not the instrumental. Although the instrumental's cool, it's the way the vocals groove and embellish this pretty basic, simple instrumental. Synths and piano. And while the quality is not like original studio isolated multitracks or stems, this is really useful for learning and for figuring out performances, also for sampling, for doing remixes. That sounds pretty good. The vocals in this one, particularly towards the end with his distorted ad-libs, some of my favorite Michael Jackson vocals of all time.
I don't know, but you want to try. Every time you see. Do you remember when we fell in love? We were young and innocent then. Do you remember how it all began? It just seemed like heaven, so I did it. And do you remember? I bet you remember. Back in the fall, I bet you remember. We did again. I bet you all day long. I bet you remember. Do you remember? I bet you remember. Us holding hands. I bet you remember. In each other's eyes we stand. Tell me, do you remember the time?
Okay, I want to go back to the beginning here. Listen to the headphone bleed, the claps and snaps and stuff, and then listen to what he's doing with his breath. Never mind the singing that's so in the pocket. This is a really good example of Michael's rhythmic sense as a vocalist.
Every time you see, do you remember when we...
That phrase right there.
Do you...
That's an upbeat on.
Do you remember...
Then the breath. There's the exhale, the percussive exhale, and then the... Those are both in rhythm.
Do you remember when we...
And then again, another upbeat on the exhale.
Do you remember when we fell in love? We were young and...
We were young and innocent. Young and... Has this sort of percussive intake to it. This is really hard to do. As I've been getting more and more into Michael's vocals and trying to sing little sections of them, his rhythmic, both accuracy and knowing when to let it flex a little bit, you can't teach it. You just have to keep experiencing it over and over again with your own voice. It sounds sort of simple. It's not like a, scream or some high note, but it's so incredibly difficult when you try to start working on it.
Do you remember when we fell in love? We were young and innocent then. Do you remember how it all began? It just seemed like heaven, so I...
And the particular charm of this passage is that a lot of those emphasis that he's doing with the those are on upbeats, so non-strong beats. He's making them strong with his voice. And when you listen to it with the context of the drums...
Do you remember when we fell in love? We were young and innocent then. Do you remember?
It's perfectly pocketed, right? He's adding to the percussion of the basic percussion and drums underneath. That's the genius of it. And that's why I was saying earlier that his vocals complete an otherwise very simple instrumental arrangement. And there's way more of that later. But this is just at the beginning.
Seemed like heaven, so I did it. And do you remember? I bet you remember. Back in the fall, I bet you remember. We did again. I bet you all day long. Do you remember? I bet you remember. Us holding hands. I bet you remember. In each other's eyes.
I bet you remember. I bet you remember. Huh? Sounds like an open hi-hat.
Did it, and do you remember? I bet you remember. Back in the fall, I bet you remember. We did again. I bet you all day long. Do you remember? I bet you remember. Us holding hands. I bet you remember. In each other's eyes we stand. Tell me, do you?
It's so interesting because when you go to the AI generated ones, listen to what it does with those, the hi-hat sound from the voice.
I bet you remember. We did again. I bet you all day long. Do you remember? I bet you remember. Us holding hands.
It like cuts them out. It's not quite sure what to do with it because it doesn't sound that vocalish, maybe. I mean, it's getting them, but they're not in time anymore, and they've cut off the attack of some of them. That just shows you what a chameleon Michael is with his voice and how many different sounds he can make.
Do you remember? Us holding hands. In each other's eyes we stand. Tell me, do you remember the time when we fell in love? You remember the time when we first met, girl? Remember the time when we fell in love? Do you remember the time?
Oh, just nuts. Awesome harmonies. And I like also you can hear various mic proximity things happening because he's moving so much and he's in his moment. They are okay with that, right? It's not about getting the perfect recording. It's about capturing this life and that's one thing that from all eras, Michael Jackson in the studio his vocals were not perfect, and they were perfect because they were not perfect, because what was captured was the greatest connected singing of all time, I think.
When we fell in love, do you remember the time? Do you remember how we used to talk? You know, we'd stay on the phone at night till dawn. Do you remember all the things we said? Like, I love you so I'll never let you go. Do you remember? Back in the spring, every morning birds would sing.
He's a human drum set.
Sing. Do you remember those special times? They'll just go on and on in the back of my mind.
That's a beautiful run there.
On and on in the back of my mind.
And you get a sense for where he's going distortion-wise later on with back. Listen to this.
Just go on and on in the back of my mind.
He's very percussive with back, too. In the back of my mind. In the back of... So he's using an upper constriction there over good chord closure. Back. In the back of my mind.
Just go on and on in the back of my mind. Oh, I
also love that part. Oh, I
fell in love. You remember the time when we first met, girl. Oh, I
also the swells that he does.
remember the time when we first met.
First met. Right? It's not when we first met. It's when we... He really attacks we. When we first met. I'm exaggerating it a ton. And I don't have the coordination to do it as well as he did. But just thinking this way with your own voice is, I think, helps you appreciate him and helps you figure out things with your own voice.
You remember the time when we first met.
When we first met. Swell. It almost starts in like a head voice, a sheepish sort of first met. Ugh.
You remember the time when we first met, girl. Oh, we fell in love. You remember the time. Those sweet memories will always be dear to me.
It's another one of those things, using a sigh to then project a belt.
Will always be.
Will always be. Oh, he's releasing into that belt. This is one reason that he can sing so freely and so powerfully. Lots of vocalists who belt or try to belt tend to come at it from this like chest voice. And then they're just like shouting. He's the farthest thing from shouting. And really, shouting isn't part of belting. Belting is a certain way that you're placing your resonance and how you're experiencing the vibrations of your voice. It's not it's not a shout. You can actually hear it even on mic when I'm doing it. If I just shout versus shape and place the note, you add the side of that and it keeps you really loose. Whoa! It's so freeing.
Will always be dear to me. And girl, no matter what was said, I will never forget what we said. Now, baby, do you remember what was said?
I will never. No, but we're going to use our belt voice and place that right here in the front of our face. I will never. Oh. Then we're going to take that resonance and we're going to throw it back. Sort of crow with it.
What was said? I will never.
I will never. Yeah. And at the same time, I'm doing the same thing I talked about earlier. I'm lifting something heavy. I'm holding back a little bit of air to give just a little bit of that gurgly, gritty sound. But because I'm placing the resonance from belt, like forward to a little bit back toward my soft palate, it sounds smoother. Let me show you real quick how I made this multi-track session, and then we'll get back to the rest of the vocals. I started with a blank Logic session, and I recorded Remember the Time straight off of YouTube through my recording interface into Logic. Someone sent me this, MJ Remember the Time studio vocals. So that's all that's in my session. I'm going to set the tempo of the session to the file. Edit, apply region tempo to project tempo.
Fell in love, we were young and innocent.
Then I'm going to right-click or control-click Stem Splitter. The AI in Logic is going to split these apart for me. And just like that, it seems like total magic. I can now listen to different parts of this song in isolation. Any song in the world. Now, this is just one of the really cool and crazy things I use Logic for on a regular basis. But Logic is a deep, complex, and frankly, can be quite daunting DAW. So if you're wanting to get into Logic Pro but aren't quite sure where to start, I've picked up dozens of practical tips and even new starting points, even though I've been using Logic for decades, from my friend Sabrina. Click the link below in the pinned comment or video description for Sabrina's free Build the Ultimate Logic Pro template. You see, Logic is so deep that if you know the right templates to build, you put the features you want to use most right at your fingertips. And Sabrina really helps with that.
Was said, I will never forget what we did. Now, baby, do you remember? We fell in love. You remember the time when we first met, girl. You remember the time. Oh my. When we fell in love. You remember the time. Remember my baby.
Now listen to how he's slanting baby, not baby.
Remember my baby.
That's another trick that great vocalists understand, is that if you open up on that vowel, you can give it more. You can round it out. If he was going, baby, it doesn't sound as cried or as desperate, which this is definitely a desperate passage.
Remember my baby.
And we also have the ability to harness the belt over that longer position. Baby! No. Baby! Baby! Bring it back a little bit and add some fry to it. Baby! I'm making no claims to be as good or even to sound like Michael Jackson. I'm simply enjoying it, experimenting with my own voice, because I'm a vocal coach. And that's what I love to do, and that's what I love to help other people do.
Remember my baby, 'cause I remember. You fell in love. You remember the time. All in my mind, girl. You remember the time. Oh, why? You fell in love. You remember the time. Remember my baby. Remember the time.
Another thing about these amazing screams here, this distorted singing, is notice how he gets out of them.
My baby!
It's always connected to a very speech-oriented ending. My baby! It's down there. It doesn't just stop high. He connects it to the rest of his voice.
My baby!
Even there. Woo!
Do you remember, girl? Remember the time. On the phone, you and me. Remember till John, 2, 3. What about us, girl? Remember the time. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. In the park, on the beach, you and me. In Spain.
That scat at the end. Another thing that he's doing that a lot of great vocalists will do is they find a particular note in the context of the song that they feel like they can really lean into and then milk it for all it's worth. Notice when he really gets into it at the end here, it's just all that note, right? That feels a certain way. It feels good to him, and he can do a lot with it, from intensity, distortion. He feels nimble there. My voice, someone else's voice, they might choose a different note in this song, or they might key it a little differently. So a lot of what we're hearing here is a mixture of an arrangement, a song that is keyed for Michael's strengths, for an area where he can really lean into his voice in this way, and Michael's awesome vocal sense and creativity and training and discipline. Lots of things at play. Thanks so much for enjoying this with me. Many more Michael Jackson multitrack sessions to come. Again, if you would like help working with Logic, check out my friend's free guide in the link below in the pinned comment or video description. And here is a growing list of Michael Jackson multitrack analysis videos right here on this channel.